Learning how to use the mouth turkey call can be fascinating for the beginning caller, but with a little instruction and help, almost everyone can easily learn this art form. Two of the most recognized national experts in calling the wild turkey, both competitively and in hunting, is the father-son team of Dick and Chris Kirby from Quaker Boy Game Calls. Collectively, their successes include wins in the U.S. Open, the U.S. Open Champion of Champions, the Masters Invitational, the Grand Nationals, and the World's Championships. In the past 20 years, they have won major championships in over 30 states. Chris's biggest win came in 1995 when he was the coveted World's Champion in Montgomery, Alabama. They have successfully hunted wild turkeys in over 30 states. Over the past 15 years, Dick has completed 14 successive Grand Slams with additional double and triple slams and a World Slam in 1986. Together, these two masters have traveled nationally, teaching thousands of beginners how to properly use a mouth call each year. Now, let's spend some time with Dick and Chris as they take a break from scouting fall turkeys and share some of their expertise in helping us get started with the mouth turkey call.
Turkey calling can be a lot of fun. Whether you call competitively or whether you're just out calling turkeys in the wild, learning how to use the calls properly will make you a better caller. My name is Dick Kirby, and with me is my son Chris. Together we've called in almost every major turkey calling championship across the country, and we've hunted all over. Together we're going to try to teach you the basics of how to use a mouth call.
I tell you what, many of you have been inspired by friends or family members to get into turkey calling, and I was. My dad was a big inspiration to me, and it all started in the woods much like this, where he called in the first turkey and my heart was pumping. But it takes a lot of practice to get to the level that you need to be to get into the woods and to get into any competition. There are tremendous advantages both in the woods and on stage when you practice a lot. The mouth call is without a doubt one of the most popular calls used by turkey hunters today because it has so many advantages. You want to explain some of the advantages, Dad?
Mouth diaphragm call has many advantages. One is that it's so small and easy to carry. But the other, of course, is the fact that when you've got it in your mouth, your hands are free, and it gives you the ability to have your hands right on the gun and be able to call as the turkeys are coming in. Another advantage is the ability to change pitch, to get loud, to get soft. With many of the handheld calls, that's more difficult. I think that you can put a lot more personality into your calling with the mouth diaphragm as opposed to any of the other friction type calls.
You know, a lot of people have a question about how a mouth call is constructed. We at Quaker Boy take a great deal of pride in how we make our mouth calls. We still build them one at a time by hand. It all starts with a piece of aluminum, some latex, and some tape. This one here is a call that comes with your video here. It's the Beginner's Double. Again, we take an aluminum frame, stretch latex in between it, tape it, cut the tape, put it in a plastic bag, box it, and it comes off to you. The difference between mouth calls, there's numerous. Layers of latex, whether the reed is split or not. There's two basic categories, either a clear category or a raspy category. And clear is what most people want to start on. That's a clear call. There's no splits along the latex here at all. Something like the World Champ here has a split. You'll notice how it has a complete notch cut right out of the reed. That split allows that latex to flutter, give you a little bit more realistic rasp. That gets back into the versatility. This call you can get clear and raspy on it, and just a combination of the both. Where the clear calls you want to stay real pretty with. They're real great beginner calls, and they'll work both in the spring and the fall.
Well, let's get started on learning how to use this Beginner's Double. Let me start off by saying this. Many people have the misconception that they cannot use a mouth diaphragm call. There is only one type of person who can't use a diaphragm call, and that's a person who has a natural gag reflex. That means that every time this call is laid back on his tongue and touches the back portion of his palate, he'll automatically upchuck or throw that right out. If you can get the call into your mouth to where you can slither and slide it around and spit and have air squeak out the side, you can use a call. It just takes a little bit of fitting and getting the call into the proper place. Let's get started with proper fit. Let me show you how, and the various different things that you can do to make this call work and fit better in your mouth. First of all, as Chris mentioned, there's an aluminum frame, and this frame can be bent. As you can see, I'm going to bend it for you here. See, people's mouths are formed in two ways. Either their teeth are very close together and they have a very high arc in their palate. A person that has a mouth like that has to bend the call, and sometimes they have to be bent to a very extreme. But whenever you do that, make sure that you keep the front portion of this latex. It can't be loose like that. It has to be tight. But by bending the call in this form, it will fit up between your teeth. The latex should be at where your tooth meets your gum, right straight across, so that your tongue can just push up against that latex as the air comes out of your throat. The other thing that you can do is that this tape skirt can be cut right here. It can have just a little bit of a cut, so it can make it smaller so that it isn't as big up in your against your palate. The first sounds that you're going to get, I like to tell people before they ever even put the call in their mouth, first thing they want to do is to remember that it takes very little air to make the call work. A normal breath of air is no more than as if you were going to talk. You take that breath, and if you were going to say the word like huck, when you hit that K part of huck, for just a second, your tongue pushes up against the back portion of your palate all the way around by your teeth, and you block everything off. That's what you want to do. Take a very short, easy breath of air, push your tongue up against there, lock it, and then if you were going to say, like the word year, your tongue then stiffens and goes all the way up into your molars on both sides, up inside your palate. It stiffens, and your tongue is almost like if you're going to say the word yuck, or year. Your tongue can feel molars on both sides. The call's going to lay right up there. You've said the word huck. Now you're going to say shh, 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 to let a little air out. Your tongue will push up against the reed, and you should get sound. Now, if you don't get sound, you're either too tight or the air is leaking out. You've got to regroup and start over again. I'll do it this way. I'll say yuck. If you can see it, it takes very little air to make the call work. Now, on this call, the beginner's double, there are two reeds, so that if you get one sound, there will be a second sound. If you push hard onto the call, it'll be higher pitch. If you say E, it'll be high, and then slowly come down to saying E-O, E-O, it'll hit the double tone. Let me show you what that sounds like. All I'm doing is laying the call in there. Start by saying the word huck, 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 sealing it off, making sure my tongue is inside my upper palate, and you can feel the molars on both sides. The call lays there. I've got the air down to my diaphragm by saying the letter T or K-E or T-E. Release a little air, push your tongue up against the call, and say chick, 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 or chuck, 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 chuck. You'll hit the high reed and the low reed. Let me show you that one more time. For the basic yelp. That's all there's no tricks, there's no gimmicks, it's that simple. Chris, why don't you share with us how you can get a cluck out of one of these?
I sure will. That was some super yelping too. Those were clear yelps. What I'll do real quick for you here is on the World Champ, again, a raspy style call, is do some quick raspy yelp, and then I'll get into the cluck for you. Again, just some yelping. Same mouthpiece, but you're going to need to use a little bit more jaw action with a raspy call, because you're going to go from a reed that's not cut to one that's cut, so it's going to take a little bit more jaw action. You'll probably notice my jaw drop a little bit more than my dad's did when he was using the beginner's double. But again, fundamentally, it's still the same. I'm going from one reed to the next. The cluck is a sound that's made just one quick puck, and you see turkeys doing it a lot when they're feeding, just milling through the woods, maybe up and down a logging road. That's probably something that you hear turkeys do more than anything else. It's just a real simple sound. The way you do it, you keep your tongue right against the roof of your mouth with the call pushed right in between there. Just release, again, a normal breath of air. Close your lips off and just say puck, puck, and just let a quick burst of air right through the call. And as I'm controlling that with my lips, letting a quick burst of air go right through there. There's some basic clucks and yelps on a raspy call.
You know, there's a difference there, Chris, between, you know, the cluck, the putt. Let's
And especially that alarm putt.
that alarm putt. That's one you don't want to use. This is the raspy boss. This is that double framed call. It's become a favorite of mine, and I'll do an alarm putt.
Yeah,
This is the one you don't want to do. It's very, very sharp, and it's rhythmic, and it's when any of the turkey family, whether it be a small poult or an adult hen or a big gobbler, when they putt, it's much like a beaver. When he slaps his tail on the water, it's an alarm, and everybody is, usually their head will come up, and the body language starts telling them it's time to get out of here. This is the one you don't want to do. Right.
And it's one when you hear it, if you've got a clear shot at your turkey, you need to take it because they're not going to be around much longer.
If you haven't heard a turkey do that, you haven't hunted very long.
That's
because
right.
you will somewhere along the line. Now the other one is, Chris was talking about the cluck, or it actually gets into cutting, but the cluck is more subtle. That's a call that you want to learn to do. The basic yelp and the cluck. They're probably the two calls that you'll use the most.
Well, we've learned the yelp and the cut and the alarm putt now. Those are sounds that the alarm putt you're going to hear, but you're not going to want to use. The yelping and clucking you're going to want to use. And something that I know my dad and I both use a lot in the spring of the year especially is cutting. And all cutting is just real excited, faster rhythm clucks. You've got a little more feeling. It's an excited hen. She's either saying, look at hen, this, if you're out and another hen starts cutting back at you and you cut back at her, that's kind of like two old ladies yelling at each other right there. So what that is, again, it's just a real fast, you'll hear the inspiration behind the call. It's real excited sounds.
A lot of personality in it.
Without question. And again, it's going to be called cutting.
Let me answer him. You cut, and I'll be a second hen cutting, and this is what it'll sound like in the spring. Good yell. Boy, that gobbler would go crazy at that, wouldn't he?
He sure would.
Let's see. I guess we want to talk.
Cackling.
Okay, a fly down cackle. This is early in the morning. Can you quick knock out a tree call there?
Yeah, sure.
Turkeys are just waking up, And it's early, and just listen as Chris does a tree call. As the morning wears on, it gets a little bit lighter, and that hen's going to get excited now, and she's going to fly down. And she'll get... She's on the ground now. Another one. About that time is when the gobblers should really start to be going crazy.
That's for sure. That's for sure. Tell you what, something else we might want to show them, a new crop for us. We were talking about cutting there. This is our little one-sider, and we've instituted, it's called an automatic cutting system, and it's just that. It's automatic. Every time you use it, it's automatic. You're going to get some great cutting. Now all you do is you take the rubber band that comes with the call. That's what it would look like close. You just want to open up just a little bit, take this rubber band underneath the bottom. You want to wrap it right underneath the bottom, come right up over the lid, and just under the words box call, you want your rubber band to set. You see it just setting right up against there. And then if you just take and you don't want to really wail on it, you just want to get it so it gets a nice cluck, and then your rhythm is just controlled by your how you hit it. Again, that's the automatic cutting system on the little one-sider. It's easy to use, just perfect yelps every time.
Boy, that thing really, really does sound good. I like the way that thing cuts. That's really good. Let's talk about some other calls. The whistle and call of young lost turkey, the kiki or the kiki run, all young baby poult turkeys. And Chris, give me, why don't you do it, what do you want to do it on? A clear call, a raspy call?
We can do it on both.
You do it on a clear call.
Okay.
And I'll do it on a cutter mag, which is, it's a little bit raspier. Go ahead, explain the kiki run.
The kiki run, again, is a young lost poult. She's away from her mom, and it's just a lot like when babies are screaming in the airports or wherever you might be. They're doing just that. They're screaming for mom, and that's what a young poult is doing. Hasn't really developed his vocal cords yet. He or she is just starting to crack over to where they can yelp real good, so it can sound really, really poor, or you can have one that sounds really, really good. On the call that came with your packet here again, the beginner's double. Just like the yelp has those two tones, a high tone and a low tone. Kee-oke, kee-oke. Well, the kiki run is just that front tone, that kee, kee, kee. And you can either say kee, 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 and all you do is you keep your tongue up tight there, kee, 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 kee. And then to get the yelp, you just drop it back off. Kee-oke, kee-oke, kee-oke. And that's the basic cadence that you're going to hear is boy, beep, beep, or kee, 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 kee-oke, kee-oke. Sounds just like this. Again, not a lot of air pressure.
And there is a difference in the whistle between young jennies or girl turkeys and jakes, boy turkeys. And a jenny is usually a little higher pitch and will yelp maybe a little bit more, where a young jake, his whistle will probably be as high, but his yelps will be real deep. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know whether I can do that. I'll try to do a jenny turkey first. That's kind of the jenny. The jake would be more like... And an old hen that's trying to regroup them, she's... Chris, when an old hen like you would, if you were... We'll give you a scenario of what it would sound like. He'll be the hen and I'll be the poult. Okay, what else we got here? Purring?
Purring.
This is your favorite, right?
This not only gives me trouble on stage. In the woods, it's not as critical, but on stage, it's my shaky call, I guess you could say.
This is the hardest for many of the callers to do. Those that are gifted that can use to kind of roll their throat can purr extremely well in a mouth call. Chris and I both have to kind of, and it's kind of hard to do. But we'll show you how to do it in a couple different ways. Chris, do it on a mouth call.
All right, I'm going to use the world champ again. Raspy call again, and all I'm going to do is a steady stream of air goes through the call, and my lips just flutter. Now watch, just lay the call in. And on the beginner's double that came with the call, it can be a little more clear, high pitch.
That's hard to do. Let me do it the conventional way, and that's just on a regular slate call. This is the magic touch, and you're just going to make like a C, a very slow C. Chris, why don't you do it there on
an Old Faithful?
Yeah,
a call that I
real
use,
easy one.
A call I use all the time in the woods, an easy upper. All you have to do is drag it back. People think it's a beginner's call, but it's in the woods with me every time I go.
When we first put that on the market, I thought it was a joke, but that thing, yelp on it. That thing, you get 40, 50 yards in the woods. It sounds so real, and it is so easy to use. The easy yelper. Another call that people associate with turkey hunting is the gobble. And to do it on a diaphragm, I'm going to explain it once. I don't do it too much anymore because it's difficult. You have to do three things. You have to get your tongue on the reed and let your air come out, then go up and down, and then purr with your lips, and then huff from your chest.
I'm glad you're explaining this.
To the rhythm of a gobble. I don't do it too much anymore, but it sounds something like this.
That's pretty good.
But it sounds like a Jake, huh?
Yeah,
But
sure.
there are other ways that you can gobble. Chris, this is the hottest call that I think people have really associated turkey hunting with, is the gobble shaker.
Without question. And it is extremely effective. Very easy to use. Simply grasp the bellow down at this end, grab the top end, and just come in and out on it. It's just that easy. Or you can just do it one-handed by just shaking it back and forth and let the weight of this bellow take the sound back and forth. Great gobble call.
Man, that thing is unbelievable. I get excited every time I hear that. When you cup the end, that's what makes that gob, 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 gob. Unbelievable.
Super.
Sounds real. Okay, Chris, let's just review very quickly with these folks using a mouth call. Remember that it takes very small flow of air, no more than when you normally talk. You want to force your tongue up against the back portion of your palate. Your tongue goes inside your upper palate so that you can feel your molars on both sides. Your tongue will stiffen as if you're going to say the word yuck, year, year. You then take that breath of air, lock it, and say chick, chick, chick. You can say chick, 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 or chuck, chuck, chuck to make the yelp. On the call again, remember, it's an aluminum frame and it can be bent, and that's important. Remember that the latex should be at your gum and tooth level so it's very comfortable for your tongue to push up against it. Make sure that when you bend it, that you make sure that you keep this latex taut. Very, very important that you keep that taut. Keep the call formed properly. Okay, there is, on each of the calls, on the inside of the horseshoe, there is a bump, and that bump is where the call will always go on your tongue. That will always keep the long reed farthest away from your tongue. The shorter reeds, as they're stacked, will always be on your tongue that way. Again, let's just try it. Take a breath of air. Lock your tongue. Stiffen your tongue. As if you're going to say the word chick or chuck. Let's try it. Very simple, very easy, basic yelp on the beginner's mouth call.
That's super. Now to go over some caring for your call. Everybody asks, well, what should I do when I'm not using the call? It's a real good idea in the off season, and if you're not going to be hunting for a week or two, to take your call, rinse it off under normal tap water, just shake the call off a little bit. You can take and put a toothpick in to separate your reeds. It's not a necessity. Reeds will stick together because of your saliva. Just rinse them, and if you're going to slide a toothpick in, just slide it in very gently so as not to damage the reeds. Put it back in the box that comes with the call. Keep it in your refrigerator, or at least keep it out of the sun. You don't want it in a hot area. You don't want it on the dashboard. You don't want it in the glove compartment. You want to keep it in a cool, dark, damp spot because that is latex that you're dealing with, and you don't want the sun to deteriorate the latex.
Another thing that you want to do is to practice. Now, this is where a few divorces, I think, have developed between using these calls. Guys like to take them, and gals too, will use them to and from work when they're riding. It gives an excellent opportunity to practice. But try to develop to where you can get the two-tone. That's what you want. You want to get the high pitch when you stiffen your tongue and push it in, and you get the high, and then drop it slowly, and you'll hit that second tone. Get that tone. Now, once you get that, that develops you to where you can develop the yelp extremely well. Have a friend. It's great if you got 2 or 3 guys get together, and together you will critique each other. Get out in the woods and practice in the woods because your calling will normally sound better there. Tape yourself with a tape recorder. That's the best way. You may think that you're just sounding super, and then you tape it and you listen to it and you say, wow, I need some practice. We've done that a lot. But get to a point where you can become proficient with the call so that when you want to yelp, you can yelp. And when you want to cluck, you can cluck. And you can do the various calls that you want to make.
That's probably the biggest problem I see with people is they try to go too fast. They get their beginner's double, they think they're great on it, and they want to move right into, say, a classic V or a Magnum cutter that is a lot thicker and has raspy reach. Don't try to go too fast. Once you've mastered those fundamentals and you can yelp, like my dad said, when you can yelp every time the same, you can cluck every time, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, then you want to start moving into some of the other stuff. Fundamentally, the calls are all the same, but you're just going to have to use a little bit more air pressure, a little bit more jaw action with the raspy type calls. But take it slow.
One last aspect of this that we want to share with you, and that's the safety aspect. Turkey hunting is different than most hunting because you totally camouflage yourself. You sound like a turkey. So there are a number of things that you want to do for the purpose of keeping yourself safe. Number one, you want to eliminate all the colors that a turkey, like red and white and blue of a turkey's head. You want to stay in a camouflage pattern. You want to keep all your movement down. You don't want to be up against a tree and be moving around because, first of all, the turkeys are going to see you, and secondly, it's movement, and that's what you want to eliminate. If you see another hunter approaching your position, never move or try to alert him with a movement. Speak in a clear voice. Hey, I'm a hunter. I'm over here. It may sound foolish at the time, but you want to keep safe, and you want to make sure that he doesn't mistake you for something. So it's important to keep your movement to a minimal.
Without question. And safety, like you have always taught me, Dad, is the most important part of a hunt. Not only when you're sitting, but when you're walking around. Many people hunt in teams. Get in the habit of just asking each other throughout the day, hey, is your safety on? You're not humiliating the other person. You're just reminding. And constantly get in the habit of checking your safety. Constantly be aware of where the muzzle of your gun is pointed. You tie all those safety factors together, and you're going to have a fun hunt.
One last thing that I'd like to share with you is the National Wild Turkey Federation is an organization that keeps this sport alive It is responsible, with the help of game agencies across the country, for restoring the wild turkey across the country. If you're not a member of the NWTF, the National Wild Turkey Federation, get involved. They're a great group, and they're fun to be around. And this spring or this fall, Chris and I hope that you have just the most fun you've ever had turkey hunting. But just remember to always keep safety first.
Quaker Boy offers today's turkey hunter a complete line of mouth turkey calls. The single, the kiki, the twin, the pro triple, the gobbler special, and the beginner's double are great clear calls for the beginner to the intermediate. Raspy calls provide an even greater variety. The classic V, the old Turk, the Jake Special, the Quaker Boy Special, the Old Boss Hen, the Magnum Old Boss Hen, the Magnum Cutter, the World Champ, the Magnum Split Quad, the Old Sly, the Cutter, the Split Quad, the Raspy Boss, and the Classic V Light are all tremendous calls for the intermediate to advanced level callers. For these and other fine Quaker Boy products, check your local sporting goods dealer. If unavailable, write to Quaker Boy at this address: Quaker Boy Inc., 5455 Webster Road, Orchard Park, New York, 14127.